Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 3 Yards and a Cloud of Dust NFL podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and with me, as always, my co host, Jonathan.
Hello.
And we have officially wrapped up week 1 of the NFL.
And week 1 of fantasy.
It was crazy. Yeah, well, we're not going to get into the fantasy aspect of it, really, because that was something else for us. But I mean, this first week was nuts. A lot of good games. A couple of really big upsets that I don't think anybody was expecting. So let's get right into it. Obviously, the first game of the week was on Thursday between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
That was also one of the games that we highlighted for our picks. And, of course, we were right. The Bucs came out on top.
Yeah,
31-29.
That was a crazy game.
You know, I will say something. The Bucs defense did not play. They didn't play bad, but they didn't play the way I anticipated them to.
Yeah.
It was a really slow start for them.
Yeah, and basically that final score, if you didn't see it, was 31-29.
Yeah, it devolved into basically a shootout
between kickers. The last two scores were field goals.
Well, yeah, but the fact is, you still have Brady throwing for 4 touchdowns. You had Dak Prescott throwing for several touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was a high scoring affair. A lot more high scoring than I think either of us anticipated. I think we were predicting somewhere in the low 20s.
Yeah, I want to say we were expecting a close game, but not.
I was expecting more dominance from the Tampa Bay defense.
Okay, I was expecting a close game.
Like I said, I thought Tampa Bay was going to dominate more than they did, but that defense it looked like it was Swiss cheese, and Dallas threw
with a lot of holes.
Dak Prescott threw it like it was Swiss cheese. I mean,
he found a lot of holes and he hit the cheese.
Yeah, but in the end, Brady found a way to win the game, and so
from his kicker.
Yeah, and so the Buccaneers start off 1-0. Cowboys start off 0-1.
Yep.
And of course, we both were right on our pick about the Bucs winning, so that puts us at 1-0 on our picks.
And the game 2 we looked at was.
So the next, moving into the Sunday morning games, we had one of the games that we had starting off for us was the Jaguars and Texans. This was not one of our picks, but you had the Texans coming out on top 37-21. And I mean, we didn't expect the Jags to win this one, but we expected it to be a little bit closer. Trevor Lawrence, he didn't look bad. But he made some rookie mistakes that cost them the game, I think.
Yeah, and
Tyrod Taylor looked great.
Yeah, he's a rookie. It's like that's something to kind of expect his first year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like I said, he made some rookie mistakes, but that's expected. So, the Jags defense did not look great at all.
No.
So
they have a lot of pieces to fill on defense still.
Yeah, they probably still need a few key pieces on that offensive line as well. Maybe a couple more weapons they need to look in on that offense.
Yeah.
Lawrence, he did try his hardest. He made an effort to keep them in the game. It just wasn't good enough.
No, and he does need more weapons around him, and if he can get the weapons, that can be a different offense.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Chargers versus the Washington football team. The Chargers winning that one 20-16. I'm actually a little surprised the Chargers won this one because Washington had a really good defense last year. And, only giving up 20 points and that late score for the Chargers to win, they still did play fairly well. So this Washington football team is going to be difficult to beat this year. Now, the big notable thing, obviously, that came out of that game was Ryan Fitzpatrick going down with his injury that is going to keep him out for several weeks, which means Washington is now Taylor Heineke's team for at least 4 weeks. And this is his chance to prove whether or not that the wild card game against the Bucs last year was a fluke. So
Yeah.
he's going to have his chance now to sit there and try and prove himself as an NFL starting quarterback. Not really too much to highlight on that, except for the fact that this is the first time that an LAC head coach has won their debut game since Norv Turner. Obviously, they were still San Diego back when Norv Turner was the head coach, but yeah. So so it's been a while. That was back in 2007.
It's been that long?
Yeah, since a new head coach for the Chargers has won a debut game. Yeah, so. Next up, though, is one of our highlighted games, and that is the early highlighted game that we had, which is the Seahawks against the Colts. And the Seahawks came out on top on that one, 28-16. So, not nearly as close as we had hoped it was going to be. That was definitely, a 12-point game. That is not what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be, somewhere between 3 to 5 points.
Yeah, and it ended up being a little bit more than that, and like you said, I wasn't expecting. I expected it to be a little bit closer.
Yeah, I mean it's still only a 2-score game. A touchdown and well, it'd have to be 2 touchdowns. But the fact is, it like I said, we thought it was going to be closer. We thought it was going to be a lot better of a game. The Colts defense had a little bit of a letdown, and Wentz did not play up to the caliber we expected him to. So it's remaining to be seen whether or not we are going to get the Carson Wentz that led the Eagles to the playoffs. We're still hoping for that. We're still strongly in the Carson Wentz rooting for camp. But this was not a great opening showing.
No.
Next up is a game that kind of it was actually better than the score says it was, and that is the New York Jets at the Carolina Panthers. And of course, another debut game for a rookie with Zach Wilson leading the Jets, and you had Sam Darnold leading the Panthers against his old team.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold actually looked really, really good in that game. And, I really, really paid attention to that game, mainly because of a lot of things. I wanted to see how Sam Darnold would do. I wanted to see how Zach Wilson would do. And I want to say that I learned 4 things from that game. Number 1 is that Sam Darnold loves having Christian McCaffrey. He threw to him often and got some very, very big plays out of him. And I mean, there's not much more that can really be said about that, except for the fact that Christian McCaffrey is just an elite caliber player, and he's going to make plays for anybody. But I honestly think that playing with this team, Sam Darnold could actually play up to his full potential.
Yeah.
The number 2 thing that I learned was another thing for the Panthers is that I think they're one really good tight end away from being a scary threat. They only scored 19 points in that game. The Panthers ended up winning it 19-14. But it felt like they were one key piece on that offense away from being able to sustain a few more drives than what they were able to. And so I think if they maybe find another bigger wide receiver to kind of complement the speed and possession threats that can complement the threats of DJ Moore and Robinson, then I think they're going to this team could be really scary in the South. They could easily be a wild card competitor. Now, the 2 things that I learned for the Jets is that, number one, that offensive line is god awful. It is absolutely horrible. And Zach Wilson, I will say, he played his heart out in that game. Yes, of course, he made a couple of rookie mistakes, like that one interception right over the middle to Shaq Thompson. But other than that, he really did do his best to keep the Jets in that game almost single-handedly. And I mean, the only legitimate weapon, and this leads into the second thing they have to get more weapons on that offense.
Oh, yeah.
Namely a running back for Zach Wilson. Because they don't have a good running back right now.
No, they have a mediocre.
Yeah. So that is something they're going to either need to trade for or they need to focus on in the draft. Because honestly, the only legitimate weapon that I saw that Zach Wilson had was Corey Davis.
And once teams start picking up on that, they're going to double team him. And
yeah, you take that away, and then I'm sorry, the rest of the wide receiving core just simply doesn't have the talent to keep up.
No.
So they need to address that offensive line sooner rather than later. And I think if they do that, maybe whether it's through trade or they go out and they just draft a shit ton of offensive linemen in the draft this next year, then maybe they can have a passable running game with some of the running backs that they have.
Yeah.
But, they're going to have to address that running back problem sooner rather than later.
Preferably before the deadline.
Yeah. I'm sorry. They're either going to have to spend some draft capital in trades in order to get some decent players, or they're going to have to
draft them.
Yeah.
They won't have a choice.
Yeah, so they've got to... unfortunately, the previous management of this team has kind of really, really screwed them. And, you've got a great caliber... I mean, you've got such a weapon in Zach Wilson. Like I said, he played his heart out in that game. He made a couple of mistakes here and there, but he's a rookie. He's expected to make those mistakes. But he kept that team in it.
Yeah. And that's something you want to see from your rookie.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, of all three of the main rookie quarterbacks that started this weekend, Zach Wilson looked the best. He honestly did.
I say it's Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and then Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And we'll get to Mac Jones later.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Panthers came out on top 19-14. So Panthers start 1-0. Jets are 0-1.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Bengals upsetting the Minnesota Vikings 27-24. I don't think we had the Bengals winning that one. I didn't expect them to win that. I mean, I expected Joe Burrow to be able to come out and play.
Who were they facing?
The Vikings.
Oh yeah, no. I kind of expected the Bengals to win if Joe Burrow played, but I knew it was going to be a battle if they did win.
I mean, yeah, it was still a close game, but the fact that the Bengals came out on top is what surprises me because I don't think anybody had them picked to win.
Because I expect...
Except for maybe a few people here and there.
I kind of saw them winning by a field goal at most for Bengals taking it, but that's if Joe Burrow was able to play to his top potential, and he did.
Yeah.
But we saw towards the end of last season, he kind of dropped off a little bit, but he brought that back at the beginning of the season, showing everyone, hey, I still have it.
Now, mind you, the game still went into overtime.
Yes, it went to overtime, but
and they won it on a field goal. But I mean, nonetheless, the fact that they were able to hang in there with a team like the Vikings, which they had a strong offense the year before.
Oh yeah.
So
and they didn't really lose much.
Yeah, and with how bad the Cincinnati Bengals defense was last year.
Well, it was
really surprising that they were able to hang in there.
The Bengals did pick up a few key pieces for their defense, which did strengthen them a little bit, and I think that's mostly what helped them on their defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is officially an upset because the majority of people did not have the Bengals winning that one. But it is...
It's like Joe Burrow does have weapons on that squad. He just has to be able to hit them, and he did.
There is a lot of young talent on that offense, and I think it's going to be if they can sit there and beat a team that is supposed to have a high caliber offense like the Vikings does.
They have a lot of potential to.
Oh yeah, they could.
To continue building around that, and if they can continue to build around that and continue getting those good players to add to it, I wouldn't doubt it that they can match up with Mahomes when Brady's gone. It would be close, but it would be. They could match up with them. Yes, they would lose.
I don't know if they'll be able to match up with the Chiefs like that. But the thing is, they're definitely going to be a competitor in the North.
Yeah.
So there is that. But like I said, that is an upset just as much as, or if not more than the next game we have. And this was a huge upset. And that is the Arizona Cardinals over the Tennessee Titans, with Arizona winning 38-13.
That one, I think
I don't think anybody saw that one coming at all.
I think we both saw Tennessee taking that one.
Oh yeah,
it's like by a couple of touchdowns, but that completely flipped.
Oh yeah, I mean Tannehill did not play great. Henry did nothing.
No, it's like
and their defense was god awful.
And
after being one of the top rated defenses last year.
Yeah, and
if I remember right, they were at least in the top 15. Sorry.
Yeah, they were within the top 15, but you also got to remember Arizona was able to pick up J.J. Watt, who is a good running defender.
Right.
And
but we're also talking about Derrick Henry here, the perennial running back leader for the last 3 years running.
And you're also talking about J.J. Watt, who's one of the best defenders when it comes to the run game, regardless who it is.
Yeah.
So I think he may have a small part in that.
You know, very few people had Arizona winning this one, and I doubt anybody had Arizona winning this one the way they did.
With 5 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
4 passing and 1 QB running with Kyler Murray. It's like, I didn't even expect Kyler Murray to take off running for a touchdown. It's like, I expected him to take off, but I never expected him to get a touchdown out of it this season.
Yeah.
At least the first game.
So, I mean, this, you know, we said this in our divisional breakdown. Arizona's been getting better every year.
Yeah. I mean,
progressively, they've been taking big strides.
And
if this is any inclination of how they're going to play the rest of this season, NFC West, you better watch out.
Yeah, and you can
Arizona's coming.
And you can tell just from Kyler Murray himself, from when he came into the league to what he just did, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I do want to kind of put I want to step on the brakes here just a little bit, because this was week 1.
Yeah.
A lot of starters did not play during the preseason for many teams.
Oh yeah, I know.
So, like I said, I want to take this with a grain of salt. Like, yes, it's a big win for Arizona, and they should be proud of themselves. Tennessee Titans need to do a little bit of soul searching before week 2. But, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. We still have a long road ahead of us. We still have 16 more games to play. So, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too soon.
No, but I'm just saying, it's like, Murray has... This is a good step for Kyler Murray.
Oh yeah, this is big. It's
going
to be a
from
big
when
confidence
he started
boost.
coming into the league, from his first game in the league to what he just did.
Yeah,
that's a huge step for him.
Yeah, I'm not denying that this is going to be a big confidence boost for them, and they should, you know, they should run with it. Yeah, they should definitely run with that, but also get ready for your next team. Forget about this. Put it behind you. It's done. You know that it no longer matters anymore. What matters is the next game. And for us, the next game would be the Niners at the Lions. Now, I know for a fact that in my mind, Niners were going to win this game. I did not anticipate it being a shootout.
No.
Especially with how good the Niners defense is supposed to be. And if the Niners defense is going to be that porous, I mean, imagine what better teams than the Lions are going to do to them. Like, yeah, the Niners won this one 41-33. So they still won it by 8 points. But that's literally one score. That's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion right there.
Yeah.
So they really didn't win it by that much.
but still 2 possessions, and that's 2 possessions they would have had to get back quickly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they did lose Raheem Mostert for the season with the
Yeah,
ACL injury,
and that was
which is going to be
a big key piece that I think made a difference.
yeah. So that I think is going to come and bite them later on in the season because he's been a big part of that offense for the last couple of years.
Well, you saw it bite them a little bit this week with not being able to have the time to get the ball out.
Well, I mean, obviously they scored 41 points, so it didn't affect them that much.
No, no, but compared to like if Tampa Bay took off on them, they would definitely need them.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be some. It's going to be interesting to see if that Niners defense can come together. This was another top-rated defense that we expected to play a lot better than it did.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the new quarterback in Detroit with Jared Goff. So that this had to have been a little bit of a confidence boost for him, being able to put up as many points as he did.
Especially for
the lack of talent that Detroit has on offense.
Yeah, which they really have to build around Goff now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another team that's gotta go out and get some weapons for their quarterback because, I mean, I don't think they can expect to sit there and put 33 points up every week.
No, because the Goff Stafford trade happened before the draft, correct?
I believe it. Yeah, I believe so.
So they already knew they had him.
Or it might have happened right after, something like that.
It was before. I knew it was before, and they should have built around him during the draft, and they really didn't. They focused on their defense.
Yeah. Yeah, but like we said, the Niners came out on top, 41-33. We'll see how each team goes from there.
Yep.
Next up is another upset for Week 1, and that is the Steelers over the Bills 23-16. Now, this is probably one of the more believable upsets just because of how good the Steelers' defense was last year. But I think everybody was a little surprised with how not good, how terrible the Bills' offense did in this one because they were one of the best offenses last year.
Yeah.
You had one of the best offenses last year going up against one of the best defenses, and it just shows you that defenses win championships.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the Steelers go on an epic 11-win run last season, which I don't think they're going to repeat this year.
Oh, no.
But it was mainly on the back of that defense. So it just shows you they were, the pieces that they did lose, it looks like they were able to, at the very least, okayly make up for that. So their defense is still strong. You still need to watch out for it. And, I mean, there's nothing more than I can say. It was another letdown by Buffalo. Of course, they started off the year slowly last year as well. So it took them like 4 or 5 games to really start going. Hopefully it doesn't take them that long again this year.
No, because
I doubt Buffalo wants it to take that long.
No, and if they end up being that far back, it's like that's gonna put them way behind where they should be, and that will bite them in the butt later in the season.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like they can probably try if they can put it together late the next game and have it fully together by the third game. They're set.
Yeah,
but
I think
they cannot lose 3 straight with trying to get it put together.
Yeah, I think what surprised people more was that Pittsburgh was able to do this in Buffalo.
My thing is, it's like I'm surprised Ben was actually able to do something.
Yeah.
Because from how he performed last season, I really wasn't expecting much. I really wasn't.
Yeah, but there was a lot of changeover too on the offensive part. They didn't really have a good running game last year either. So, that being said, they've actually got what seems to be a decent running back this year. Plus, he's gotten a little more acquainted with his guys who were rookies last year in the wide receiving core.
And he has actually been, from what I can tell, he actually brought in one of his old tricks from his rookie year, his same spot pump fake. He actually did that for a touchdown at the back of the end zone, in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah.
And that was impressive.
Yeah. You know what was impressive though? the next game we're going to talk about, the Eagles and the Falcons. How the Eagles dominated the Falcons in that 32-6 win.
It's the Bodies versus Bodies.
Yeah. But I mean, Jalen Hurts, what can I say? He had a few mistakes here and there that, you know, you can pretty much ascribe to this being him in his going to pretty much be his first full season as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's kind of rookie mistakes for first timer. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked really good.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles played well. I mean, you don't dominate. You may dominate the Falcons like that because, I mean, we were hoping they were going to play a little bit better than they did, but not liking what's happening in Atlanta.
No, and they have to do something with their offense. They really do, because they've lost too many players in Atlanta now. Well, now they have to rebuild.
Yeah, but Hurts ended that game with 264 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 64 rush yards.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so he, like I said, you know, just like we said with the Cardinals, you know, pump the brakes, take it with a grain of salt. It's only the first game. Got a long season ahead of us. But this looks hopeful for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, they could do a lot better than even what we thought.
Oh, yeah.
And then next up is a game that we highlighted, one of our picks, and that is the Browns at the Chiefs. And did the Browns scare the Chiefs a little bit there?
Just a little bit, but Mahomes.
In the end, Patrick came through, though.
Mahomes popped in the fourth quarter. Was like, okay, time to like my second match. Let's go.
Yeah, well, he came in just at the right time to keep us perfect for the week with our third correct pick, with the Chiefs coming out over the Browns. But it was
a battle.
It was scary there for a second because, I mean, the Browns led for most of that game.
Yeah,
and they looked good doing it.
Yeah, it's like the Browns have really came out of the dirt within the last 5 years. They have really came up and actually have proven, hey, we are not the Psyche Browns anymore. We're here to compete now.
Yeah, and I think this proves that they are going to be a competitor in the North this year.
Oh, yeah.
Again. However, though, the Browns don't have the best track record when it comes to opening games. As a matter of fact, they are 1-21-1 in season openers since 1999.
And that's
terrible.
That's
bad. That's really bad.
Who did they tie with?
I have no idea.
I just thought about that. You said one at the end.
Yeah.
Like, they tied?
Yeah, but that's one win in the last 20 or not. Well, would that be 21 years?
91?
99? No, wouldn't.
That's that's gonna be 22.
Wow. Yeah.
Out of 22 years.
22 years. Jeez. One win in 22 years to open up the season. That's bad. That's bad. But like we were just saying, they played well against the Chiefs. The Chiefs. I mean, the Mahomes magic just got them.
Yeah, the fourth quarter of Mahomes, you cannot really beat him.
He's notorious for being slow in the first quarter in games, though.
First half.
Yeah.
And
we've seen him. We saw it against the Raiders a couple of years ago when the Raiders outscored the Chiefs like 17 points to nothing. The Chiefs were down like 17 or 18 points at the half, and then Mahomes came and just fucking turned it on in the second half. Yeah. He just destroyed them.
It's almost like Mahomes is toying with teams in the first half just to see what they have.
He needs to stop giving Chiefs fans a heart attack. Otherwise, they're not going to have anybody in that stadium left to cheer for him. He needs to just, suck it up. Start playing the way he does in the fourth quarter, in the first quarter, and just, go for the jugular against these teams.
Dude, blowouts every game.
You cannot fool us any longer after you sit there and made the completely horizontal throw in the Super Bowl. You can't fool us anymore, man.
With an almost completion in the end zone.
Yes.
That was insane. Let alone against Tom Brady himself.
Yeah. So, Patrick, come on, man. Stop trying to pretend like you're not good anymore. We already know you are. Just play like you are, dude.
I think this is just his own strategy. It's like, hey, I'm just going to toy with the team in the first half.
Here's the thing.
Oh, okay, let's throw it on now.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it. He's trying to make it difficult for himself. It's like, oh, this stuff's too easy, so let me just not play in the first half and see what I can do from there.
And it's almost like he turns it on in the third, and then he turns on his turbo in the fourth.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened?
It's like, why not turn that on to start the game? Or hell, at least in the second quarter.
It's almost like Fast and Furious when you're doing a race with Nas. It's like, you don't want to turn that on until late.
Right. Well, yeah, that's very true, but this is not a movie, though.
No,
not yet. But they will make a movie about Patrick Mahomes, I guarantee you.
It's a movie for Patrick Mahomes. It's like, hey, I'm coming late.
But like, come on, man! Is the NFL not difficult enough for you? You just got to make it harder for yourself.
I think he plays the whole game the same against Tom Brady because he knows that's his competition.
It's like,
everyone knows it's like, you're too easy for me.
But it's like when Patrick Mahomes starts the game, does he like, okay, I'm gonna spot this team this many points and then turn it on?
Yeah, it's almost like, what are you doing?
But they did come out on top, 33-29. So that is, 3 picks for us now? We're 3-0?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, next up, though, is the game that probably shocked the NFL community the most. And that is the Saints absolutely destroying Green Bay. 38-3.
Their defense was impeccable.
Oh, my God.
It was ridiculous.
It's
almost like a Drew Brees era now. Still.
I mean,
with the Saints.
Jameis Winston, he didn't play. He didn't play to the Drew Brees caliber.
No, but
he played solidly enough. He played good enough.
But their defense did.
Yeah, their defense just it's almost like the defense came to the realization, hey, we don't have Drew anymore, so we can't rely on that. And while, Jameis is good, we need to make sure that, he doesn't have too difficult of a time. And they came out and they played that.
Yeah, and they really shut down Aaron Rodgers, and they shut him down quick.
There is a bit of almost like a conspiracy that's coming out after that Aaron Rodgers lost that game on purpose.
It's like he didn't even get 100 yards.
No, he didn't.
Like,
I mean, yeah, in the press conference, he said that he played bad, but a lot of people are saying he did it on purpose because of everything that happened in the offseason.
But Lily, out of both QBs, the rookie quarterback who only came in for 2 or 3 drives, with both of them combined, still got less than 140 yards.
Yeah,
that is horrific.
Yeah. I'm not willing to entertain the theory just yet, but I'm also going to say this. With how petty he was in the offseason,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I can't 100% put it behind me. I can't just disbelieve it outright. Because this is very most likely the last season Aaron Rodgers will play in Green Bay. One way or another, whether it's retirement or he moves on to another team after the season.
Here's the thing. If he does this again 1 or 2 more times, they're going to put him as the backup and put in the rookie.
I don't know if they'll do that.
They will do that because they need the wins. And if they think, hey, he's not going to do anything for us, let's throw the rookie in, they're going to.
Yeah.
But if he's constantly getting blown out,
But I mean, you can't knock that 5 TD passes by Winston.
no. But it's like you also can't say it's like Aaron Rodgers. He is no. It's almost impossible for him not to get at least 100 yards receiving, and he'd even hit that.
Yeah.
So, and if he does that consistently, that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they play this way again next week, then I almost have to believe that Rodgers is doing it on purpose. But now let me propose a different theory. That if the Green Bay Packers continue to play like this, with the very likelihood that Rodgers is gone next year, Devontae Adams is gone next year, Love will most likely be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers next year. What if they're trying to do the Jacksonville Jaguar thing and tank in order to go get some more weapons for Love to start next season?
But with how the NFL changed the way of doing the, I'm drawing a blank with the lottery picks. That would be hard to really do now because
I mean, it's your main picks though are still based on your record.
yes and no. It really because they changed.
The NFL doesn't have a draft lottery like the NBA.
But the NFL did switch something in to keep people from foreign taking to try to get that one spot.
Yeah, I don't know how well it's going to work though.
So that's really where we'll come down to.
Yeah. But overall, it was a great showing by New Orleans. You know, a great start to the post-Drew Brees era. And a really bad showing by Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And a really terrible start to what was supposed to be, meeting of the minds for Green Bay.
Sorry, fancy people who had
Rodgers
playing because that was horrific.
Yeah. Well, not just Rodgers, though. I mean, the only person who got some decent fantasy points out of that game was Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Which I had.
Shut up. I had Aaron Jones, who had a total of 9 yards. Rushing, at least. Yeah. So, it wasn't just people who had Aaron Rodgers who got screwed that week.
No, because he didn't do anything.
Next up, we have the Broncos winning over the Giants 27-13. Now, I'm not going to say that it was a surprise to see the Broncos win, even though I was kind of surprised to see the Broncos win. I was just kind of surprised that the Giants didn't play better. You know, with the weapons they went out and got Daniel Jones in this offseason, you think they would have played better, especially having Saquon Barkley back.
Yeah, but I think it's also the matter of fact of them still trying to get the team together and cooperate because you do have new players that came in, so now you have to mesh the new with the old. So that's really will come down with the chemistry.
Yeah.
And if the chemistry isn't 100% yet or not even 70%, you'll get exactly what you just saw. But hopefully they can get that up within the next game or two and start actually playing to their full potential.
Yeah, because it already looks like that division is going to be difficult to win again this year for the Giants. For the NFC East looks like it's going to be tougher this year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got Prescott, you got Dak this back for Dallas, so he's obviously going to try his best to put up some points. You've got Philadelphia, who had a strong showing against Atlanta. You have Washington, who, yes, they lost that game, but their defense still played relatively well.
Yep.
So they're still going to be a contender. It's all going to depend on, really the biggest question now is what can Taylor Heineke do for Washington? But also, too, basically we had the Giants being the perennial team to beat in the East. That might not be the case now.
Nope.
But, once again, as we've already stated, it's only week 1. It's still a long season left ahead of us, so a lot of things could happen.
And we still have 16 games of 17 weeks, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. But next up is the game that you wanted to highlight, and of course that was your team, is the Dolphins against the Patriots. Dolphins came out on top on this one, 17-16, although they almost didn't win that one.
No, and
it was because of one key fumble at almost at the goal line at the end of the game by the Patriots that saved the Dolphins' asses, because Tua did not play well at all.
Oh no, he didn't.
I mean,
he played well, but for being a first-time starter, but he didn't really play to his full potential.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing, though, with the way I saw him play, once again, I do have to reiterate, this is just week one. He could improve massively over the next several weeks. But with the way I watched him play, basically the assessment that I can give him is that his low end is going to be post-prison Michael Vick. To me, though, his ceiling is a low-end Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be a long-term answer for Miami. And I think if and when the whole Deshaun Watson stuff gets figured out, whether or not he's going to be going to prison for some time or whether he gets exonerated from his stuff, I think they need to actually make a legitimate offer.
Yeah,
and go after Watson.
And Watson has actually...
He's come out and said that he wants to play in Miami.
Yeah, he's always said he wants to play in Miami, and that's a huge boost for Miami to try to get him when all this blows over.
Yeah.
But
I don't think a trade like that is going to happen this season. I think mainly the fact that the Texans have come out and said that they are willing to trade Watson, they're testing the waters to see, they're not, I don't think they're going to make a move as long as he's got the whole legal issues going on in the background, and I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give up what the Texans are asking for right now because of that big question mark behind Watson. However, let me just say this. If everything does blow over and Watson is good to go and he doesn't face a suspension by the league, he doesn't face any prison time, and he's just, he's good to continue his career, I guarantee you the Texans next year will come back with a higher asking price.
Yeah, and it will, and unfortunately, it's like for Miami to get him, Tua would have to be in there. It would be Tua and multiple first-round picks.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd want to give up Tua because, he could still be a decent backup option for a starter in the meantime. But, yeah, to me, the way he played against New England screams not long-term.
No. But we'll have to wait and see.
But, yeah, he could turn into the next Steve Young.
Yeah.
For all we know, by the end of the season. So, now Mac Jones, he played well. He did. He made a few rookie mistakes. All of the rookie starters did that this week. Waddle came out. He had a good game for Miami.
Yep.
Harris had a good game except for that fumble near the goal line for New England. I think that tight end tandem in New England is going to be a strong one with Matthew Judon and Hunter Henry. I think that's the best tight end tandem that they've had since Grunk and Hernandez.
Yeah.
So, I think that's going to be. Or I said Matthew Judon? I meant Jonnu Smith. Sorry, Matthew Judon's on the defense. He made a couple of boneheaded penalties in that game, which is why his name was right there. The tight end tandem of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, though, is going to be a huge asset for New England.
Yep.
And so that leads us to the last. And of course, Dolphins won that 17-16. So you predicted that that neither team was going to score 20 points.
And the Dolphins were going to win at most as a field goal.
Yeah, and they won by 1.
So,
yeah,
that's a plus for me. That's a bonus for me.
So, yeah, you called that one. I'll give you that one. Now, the one that you didn't believe me on is the next one we're about to talk about, because you didn't think the Bears were going to do as badly as they did.
No. And that's the Bears at Rams.
That's the Sunday night game, another game that we highlighted for this week. And, of course, the Rams came out on top 34-14.
Which we knew both Rams were going to win, but we weren't sure how close it was going to be, though.
I told you the Rams were going to dominate. I told you I would not be surprised if the Rams won by 2 or more scores. And I also said that the Bears' offense was going to struggle under Andy Dalton. And what happened? It struggled under Andy Dalton. I mean, their defense actually, their defense didn't play badly. It's just the problem is the offense couldn't stay on the field long enough to keep up with the Rams' offense. The Rams' offense was just pedal to the metal right from the get-go.
Yeah, and
they were off to the races.
And every time they got to the end zone, their defense came out and brought the offense right back out.
Yeah, and I mean, you could really see that Matthew Stafford has already developed a really, really good relationship with Cooper Kupp because they were connecting all night.
Yeah, and I guarantee it's only a matter of time till he starts doing that with Woods too, and that's gonna be a dangerous trio right there.
Oh yeah, him. Well, I mean, if Henderson is able to continue to play well throughout the season, you've got 4 legitimate weapons right there with Kupp, Woods, Higbee, and Henderson.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a dangerous piece right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see this as a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yes.
And that's when the Rams play the Bucs, it's going to be a good game, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, whether that be, I don't know if they play. I can't remember if they play during the regular season, but I mean, if both teams keep playing like this, they're going to meet in the playoffs.
I believe they play once this season, if I'm correct. I'm gonna have to double check on that for the next episode to give you more of an update on that one, but I'm gonna double check on that one.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll come across it here in our weekly previews. So
yeah.
So we'll let you know about that one. But anticipate, if they do play in the regular season, I mean, I anticipate that being as good as if they play in the postseason.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, and then last but most certainly not least is that amazing Monday Night Football. It was fun. Monday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Raiders last night. 2 nights ago from when this is posted, but last night from when we're recording.
But it was okay. It did end up being a close game, and it did end up being as a shootout, but it did go into OT 27-27.
Yeah, and that was the circumstances, but when coming down to that was what is craziest about that. And it is because the game did not start off well for the Raiders. They quickly went down 14-0 in the first quarter. And the offense was struggling early on. The defense played extremely well early on for the Raiders, though. Yeah, they gave up those 14 points, but here's something that we have not been able to say about the Raiders in the last several years. They had a good pass rush last night.
Oh, yeah.
They kept Lamar Jackson on his toes all night long. Yeah, he ripped off a couple of good runs, but you know what? They poked the ball out a couple of times on him, too, which led to them staying in that game.
Yeah, and they forced him to stay and actually pass the ball.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, they did give up 27 points, but also you have to understand how slippery and evasive Lamar Jackson is.
Yeah.
So, he is a scrambling quarterback. He is a quarterback that if he gets out of the pocket, he's going to be dangerous. Yeah, the Raiders were able to make a few plays on him, but for quarterbacks that are not able to scramble, for quarterbacks that do have a tough time getting out of the pocket or are mainly a pocket passer, this defensive line with that pass rush can really be dangerous.
Yeah.
If they're able to keep up that level all season long, this could actually be the best Raiders defense we've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I would not expect them to be giving up 27 points every game.
And the final play did come in within the last 4 minutes of overtime, which was a huge play with Cole actually almost doing like a fadeaway deep pass.
Oh, that was the biggest Hail Mary I've ever seen. The only reason he really threw that one, though, was because he saw Zay Jones breaking away from the defender. That was basically as big of a blown play, a blown play for them as it was for the Raiders against the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, and it ended up being a beautiful thrown pass.
He was wide open. All he had to do was let the ball land in his hands, and the game was over.
Yeah, and he got it, at the 15, and Lily kind of just
he caught it in the end zone. It was just a nice little beautiful pass right into the end zone.
No,
it was in the end zone. Trust me. I've rewatched it like 17 times.
Okay, I'll have to go back for that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was if it wasn't directly into the end zone, it was like 1 or 2 yard line. But it was right there cuz they were within the 30-yard line when he threw it. It was like a 35 yard pass.
Yeah, but Cole was backed up to about the 45 when he threw that.
No, he was still fairly close to the line.
We're gonna have to look at that because
just trust me on this one for now.
Oh, I'm not gonna trust you. I'm gonna look that one up because.
But anyways, it was an exciting game. There was a lot of things that went down in that one, especially with the fact that the Ravens went up 27-24 with 35 seconds left in the game.
Oh yeah.
And then Carr led the team downfield, got them in range for Daniel Carlson to tie the game up with 2 seconds left. And then, of course, everybody thought the game was over there for a little bit when Bryan Edwards made that beautiful catch on the sideline, close to the sideline, and almost got into the end zone to end the game. And of course, it was just you had the tip pass later on that drive that led to the Baltimore interception in the end zone, which gave Baltimore a chance to go downfield and try to win the game. And that was where Carl Nassib stepped up, made Lamar Jackson fumble again. And that's when the Raiders took over and they drove back downfield and scored the winning touchdown. So it was an exciting back and forth game there, especially in the second half.
Okay. So
I
just double checked it. Carl was almost at the 40. They were at the 31-yard line.
Uh-huh.
Carl threw it from the 43-yard line.
But it was right into the end zone.
Landing in his hands at the 5.
Okay, so pretty close to the end zone.
Yeah, but it was not in the end zone.
Okay, but it was closer than what you were saying. You were saying like the 15.
Yes, it was closer. But
I was saying like within like the 1-2. Yeah, it was. Basically, what happened was Zay Jones got wide open, was able to score the touchdown with ease.
Yeah,
and the Raiders walk off.
It was a beautiful pass.
It was. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. If I remember,
the release, no, but the catch, beautiful.
It was a lob pass. It was and it did land directly into Zay Jones' hands. But I think that was mainly because Zay Jones had such a head start on the defender, he was able to pull up and catch the football. Yeah. But no, it was not a great pass on Derek Carr's part. Because if that had been any other play where the defender had been right on there, that could have just as easily been intercepted with how little was on the back of that ball.
Oh yeah.
But luckily it happened the way it did. Let's hope we don't have to see that again anytime soon.
I want to see it 16 more times.
Oh God. I mean,
I want to see this guy with a heart attack every single night.
If that's what it takes for the Raiders to go 17-0, okay, I'll take it. But it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
But I want to see them do it at least 15 times in the middle of the game. But on that note,
overall, it was a great Monday Night Football game to open up the season and to end Week 1. And that led us to getting all of our picks right. The only thing we didn't get right was the score that we had announced for the Raiders-Ravens game. We thought it was going to be somewhere, in the mid to low 20s because we thought the defenses were going to be a much bigger factor. And they were in the beginning part of the game.
Yeah.
It's just the offenses for both teams came alive in the second half.
Yep, and it came up, well, they both ended up over between 25 and 35.
Yeah. And I think if as the season goes on, both Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards will be a much more significant factor in the passing game to help out Darren Waller. I think Kenyon Drake can be a key piece in that passing game as well.
Oh, yeah.
Also help take some of the pressure off of Josh Jacobs.
Oh, I definitely agree with that one.
We saw Josh Jacobs, like he was playing with that turf toe issue.
Yeah.
Where he actually had to change shoes at the beginning of the game because the fact that he was wearing a special shoe that basically had a metal plate in it that restricted the toe from moving too much. And he had to change out of it because it was bothering him too much. But he still scored 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot of yards. He only ran for 30 yards. That run defense of the Baltimore Ravens was really good last night. But the fact is, he was a warrior. He played... He came out and he did what he needed to for the Raiders.
Yeah, and I guarantee he'll probably just be wearing the turf toe during practices this week, just so he doesn't put too much stress on it.
I could see them giving him a break in practice this week. Maybe he'll do a walkthrough towards the end of the week. But because they're going to need him against Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
They're going to need every weapon that they have against Pittsburgh because they're going to sit there and have to spread the ball around. They're going to need Kenyon Drake in that passing game because Darren Waller cannot do it all in the passing game again, especially not against a defense like Pittsburgh's.
No.
So.
But on that note, that was the end of Week 1 recap.
Yeah.
And it was a really good week.
Yeah, really wild. A lot of, there's some big upsets. But I guess the key point is that, the games that we guessed the winners for, we got right.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because a lot of people don't think we know what we're talking about.
It's like, yes, we got some of the scores wrong, but we still got the main picks correct.
Yeah.
It's like,
you called the Dolphins game pretty much, and I called the Rams and Bears game.
Yeah, and that kind of tells you basically how well I know my team.
Yeah, and that kind of tells you how well I pretty much know football.
But
or at least I know how bad the Bears' offense is.
But on that note, we thank you guys for listening. And
but before we go, something that we did in our previous episode, and we said we're going to do every episode for at least the month of September, and we want to keep to that. We know times are hard right now. We know times are tough, and you might be struggling financially, emotionally, mentally. We just want you to know that you're not alone. And there are people out there that care and love you. There are also people out there that are ready and willing to listen and help where they can. As many of you know, September is National Suicide Awareness Month. And we want to do our part here on the podcast to highlight that and make sure that there are people out there that are willing to listen. We are people that are willing to listen. And right now, what should be on the screen is a number that you can call if you are struggling, if you need help. It is the number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There are people waiting for you to call, waiting to listen to what you have to say, waiting to help you through this. So please, if you are struggling or you know somebody that is struggling with the thoughts of suicide, don't stay silent. Speak up.
Speak up, and you can either call the number, but our Twitters and my Instagram will also be down in the description.
Yeah.
If you don't want to call the number and you just want to just message through our DMs, feel free to DM us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll feel free. We would really like to be able to help you guys as much as possible.
We will not judge you because we've been there. Okay, we've been where you were or are or may be in the future. We understand it. We understand how difficult it is at times. So please know that you are not alone. There are people out there that care and love you. And please, like I said, if you yourself or you know somebody that is having a problem, please reach out. Please speak up. Staying silent is the worst possible thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because, as we said in our last episode, one thing that we want to try and get started is a new hashtag. One conversation can save a life.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a few minutes out of your day to talk to somebody who you know may be struggling can make all the difference in the world. So, with that, just like I said before, there are people out there that care for you, that love you, and are willing and ready to listen. So please, don't stay silent.
Reach out.
Yeah. But with that, we want to say thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll join us tomorrow for our Week 2 preview. And until then, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.